For this exhibition, it's a two-parter. We have James Thurber's original manuscript of The Last Flower, as well as Art Unbound 3.
The Last Flower is called A Parable in Pictures. It was written in one night. It was an inspiration that came to him one night, shortly after the breakout of World War II. So it was written in 1939 and published just within a few months. So still very relevant. It talks about the cycles of war and peace.
So The Last Flower, to me anyways, it's about how we as humans kind of continue this process of destroying, but it also has a hopeful element to it as well.
We were given Thurber's The Last Flower to read as inspiration, or maybe a jumping off point.
So Art Unbound is an exhibition that we do about every 3 years here at the Carnegie Gallery, where we invite Columbus-based artists to use our withdrawals and discards that would otherwise be recycled, but we ask them to take those books and items and turn them into artwork to give them a new life. The books that are going into withdrawal are what we call very well-loved books, so they've already had a beautiful life within the community, and they're ready for more of a permanent home. This is the overwhelming part. That's awesome.
So when I was asked to be a part of this, I thought, yeah, what a great way to pull something apart, something that's been read or not read, and turn it into my own with my own viewpoints. Yeah, I was on the lookout for really graphic materials. I wanted to find a lot of black and white, either photography or cartoons, and I found a bunch of Walking Dead books, which I knew was all black and white cartooning with a lot of violence. They were just collaged to create this base layer that I knew once I put wax on them or the encaustic on them, it would pick up that texture and then even allow me to work more texture on top. I'm raising 2 daughters, and that little girl and that flower meant a lot to me. I'm bringing them into a world that's really unsure, you know. I thought that I had grown up in the most tumultuous times in the early 70s in America, but things are scary to me now because I'm raising kids. I'm a veteran. I don't know that that makes any difference, but my view of war has changed in the past 30 years since I've been out of the Army. And I think it's mostly because I'm raising these kids and watching a really unsettling world around us.
Books are a huge part of my life, and I started to think about how music in my life has been sort of my saving grace in hard times and trials and errors and happy moments, and that's where I drew that inspiration and what I'm working with now. I remember reading one of the last pages in the Thurber parable, where somebody talked about the staccato kind of motion, or the kind of repetition of that army, sort of the beat of the army marching. When I saw the sheet music, it was really reminiscent of his drawing, this sort of the black ink, single lined work on this sort of tanned kind of aged paper. And so I grabbed those, still not sure what I wanted to do with it yet. What I find interesting is I'm cutting up these pages of music and then rolling them into small coils, as it were. And so these rolls are then attached to one another. So you would see this sort of sense of, it's almost like a beehive, something that is a little bit more abstracted, a little bit distanced from that idea of here's a flower, this is the last flower, and that the hope that there is hope, that there will be a continuation of more flowers to grow.
So I'm from the Navajo tribe, and we commonly call ourselves the Dene. A lot of my paintings have to do with either the Southwest, which is where my tribe is located, anything that really has to do with Native culture or the Southwest imagery. Often Native people, Indigenous American people, are thought of maybe in a more historical text, which is true in the fact that, you know, we come from a long line of people, but it's also, we need to realize that Native people are here in the present and that we're modern as any other ethnicity or culture. How I am tying in James Thurber and how I interpreted his book as the theme of hope overall is showing the resilience of Indigenous American people. It's going to be a collage of different images and texts, the sort of history of the United States, and then what's going to be laid on top of it is more of the painting. You know, this is kind of the history of our nation, but this is, the image on top of it's going to be like more of a Native perspective because that's who I am.
I love the idea of combining altered books with Thurber's work, you know, on a personal level, and I think it's a great way to approach an exhibit in a library too, you know, both having an original book and then a lot of responses to it.